All right, we can call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to
to the flag
United
of the
States
United States of America,
United States of America,
to the republic
and to the republic
for
for which it stands,
one nation,
one
one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, is there a motion?
Mr. President, I move that the board approve the January 8th, 24 agenda.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded.
Mr. Burton, would you like me to call the roll?
Yes, please.
Ms. Salisbury,
yes,
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Burton,
Yes.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson-Berry,
Yes.
Mr. Newton,
Yes.
Dr. Douglas.
Yes.
Motion passes. All right, next we'll have the report of the board members.
Okay. I'll go ahead and give a report. And I'll try not to talk too long. So it was a pleasure. Right before we went on winter break, I got to visit every single school in our district. And I just want to kind of give some flowers and some shout outs and highlights of some of the things that I saw. And I'll try to make this go fast. I was able to sit down on meetings with administrators over RTI and MTSS interventions, visiting a lot of teachers in each building, going into the different classes, and doing a lot of observations at every single grade level, and then experiencing some of the themes that the schools had, such as in Fleet Ridge, they have the We Are Family theme, and then I learned a lot about their community engagement. Witnessed a lot of Christmas parties, Santa and students taking pictures, administrators dressing up as Santa. Got to see a little bit of some Cosmic Bowl, Christmas decorating, gingerbread tasting. Really interested at Blue Ridge, where I got to see all of the artifacts that they created to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the school and learn more about their theme of dancing through the decades and different incentives, such as the Golden Spoon Award. And then I just got to peek into a lot of the other themes, such as Polar Express Day, experience the PTA coming out and supporting, and I thought it was just a joy to see at Eastwood Hills how the Grinch, they had a Grinch problem where the Grinch was stealing some of the Christmas trees. And so the third grade classes, they had to deal with the Grinch problem and to discuss if the Grinch actually, how to offer the Grinch redemption. A lot of positivity with the social emotional learning, with the compliments party, lessons on mindfulness, snowball challenges and things to just bond the community. And some of our other programs, I got to see some of their interventions up close and personal. At Herndon, being able to look at their sports medicine programs, the nursing, the new graphics, arts and design equipment, the cosmetology, the construction trades, it just really did my heart proud of our district. And there are so many more things that, as you can imagine, that I've seen in this whirlwind tour. But one of the highlights also was meeting Miss G at Little Blue, and she was one of our support staff of the year. And so that concludes my report. I don't want to take up too much time.
Thank you.
I'd just like to give a report that I was able to, it didn't do a lot over the holidays. I spent a lot of quality time with my family, which I thought was very important. But I did get the chance to make sure that those that were in need, helping those that in need with food and gifts over the holiday, got to be a part of the Rotary's delivery program for poinsettias to the nursing homes, to those who couldn't get out, and they enjoyed that. And just really, really, really got to spend a lot of quality time with my grandchildren over the holidays. So that's what I've been busy doing over the holidays.
All right, thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, I would like to thank Raytown South High School for having me out to their Christmas party. I really enjoyed myself. I was also able to support and give gifts to a guy that me and my family supported. So I want to say thank you guys for letting us be able to do that. I also went up to North Fleet Elementary School, and we were also able to hand out gifts to the kindergartners that were so grateful for showing me how to dance when I was up there. So anybody who can make me look good at dancing, I felt like I owed them the gratefulness of blessing them with Christmas gifts. So we were able to give them Christmas gifts, and I wanted to thank the principal, Mrs. Kane, for having me and let me interrupt their day, and the teachers, that was wonderful. So I wanted to thank them. We also got to go up to I also got to go up to South Caps at Herndon Center and be a part of their Let's Talk Business. And I met with some students up there, Dewan and Carmilla and Sadi and Sienna, and they had a rotating table where we got to talk to them. So I wanted to thank them as well. And then I also got to go up to Northwood School and deliver Christmas gifts. So I wanted to say thank them for that. And I also got to go up with Terrence and Miss Kiana, and the kids did a round table, and they actually conducted the whole thing with their round table. And it was really, really enlightening to see what they're learning, and they're really doing a phenomenal job. So I got out during the holidays and I want to tell everybody happy New Year. And thank you guys for having me.
All right, thank you, Mr. Newton. Anyone else? Okay. We move to the next agenda item. Once again, I'd like to thank all the board members for your activity over the last month. Keep up the good work. I'm really proud to say part of this board that's in our schools all the time, and the students know who we are. Next, we have report of the superintendent.
So good evening, Chairman Burton, Vice Chairman Watson, members of the Raytown Quality School District Board, and members of the Raytown Quality School District community. Tonight is the first evening where we have offered a virtual board meeting, and I just want to thank everyone for your flexibility and understanding. In an abundance of caution, and as you can look out your window and see that the snow accumulation or the mixture that is now plaguing our community has provided a dangerous situation in terms of travel. We sent out the communication and correspondence as early as we could to ensure that there was adjustments that were made, and we were not giving any last minute guidance, if you will, in terms of this evening's meeting. So to avoid having to cancel our meeting, the safest thing for us to do was to offer a virtual meeting. That leads into the next comment that I'm going to make. As a result of continuing to operate under the auspice of safety, we are going to make a decision to offer an AMI day, which is an alternative method of instruction for tomorrow. This is to ensure that our students and our staff are safe as we continue to provide quality instruction. But again, every time we make a decision, it is with regards to student safety and their travel to and from school. Not only do we have to worry about our students traveling to and from school, our staff as well, but knowing that many of our students are walkers, with what we have understood from the forecasts that we follow up to date and every hour on the hour, that there's going to be decrease in visibility. And with the number of students who are standing on bus stops and or are walking to and from school, we do not want to put them in any dangerous situation. But we also wanted to provide ample notice for our parents, because we know many of you have to find alternative childcare. And so I am saying today that tomorrow we are going to offer an AMI day for our students and staff to ensure that instruction continues for our children. All students should have received a device or some sort of work so that we can continue with the continuity of instruction for tomorrow and making sure our children and our staff are safe. And so with that said, Ms. Cleaver Womble will send out communications from our department to reiterate what was just stated in terms of tomorrow and how we will proceed. In terms of the report of the superintendent, items 8.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5 are all for informational items. And at this time, I will ask Dr. Greiner to provide an update on the district's report card and the annual performance report highlights. Dr. Greiner.
Good evening, Dr. Martin Knox, President Burton, Vice President Watson, board members, community. Thank you for the opportunity tonight to share an update. I'm going to share my screen. President Burton, are you able to see my screen?
I am.
Okay. So again, thank you so much for the opportunity tonight, board, to share some updates regarding the school district's report card and annual performance report. Obviously, the information we'll be sharing tonight is from the 22-23 school year, not the 23-24 school year. This information was made available to the district back in December. And so obviously we want to bring this information to the board and to our community. And board members, as I go through the slides, unfortunately, I do have several slides to review. If you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to just interrupt with a comment or question. I'll try to pause every few slides just to make sure I'm not moving too quickly. But again, tonight, the purpose of this presentation is just to create awareness for the board and the community regarding some critical data points that the district continues to monitor as we look to improve student achievement, student attendance, and student awareness around the district.
Dr. Greiner,
Yes.
we don't see your slides. We see an agenda for the professional learning committee meeting.
Thank you. Stand by.
There you go.
All right. Sorry about that, everybody. So the data that's being shared tonight, again, is data from the 22-23 school year. There are several categories that the district report card information is provided from the state of Missouri. So some of the data we'll be sharing tonight is related to the district's proportional attendance rate, which is the percentage of students that are attending at least 90% of the time, our 4-year graduation rate, our dropout rate, our 180-day graduate follow-up, and then a variety of metrics regarding on-level performance on MAP, which is for grades 3 through 8, and end of course, which is for our high school students. So again, data that I'll be sharing tonight are from that spring state testing, grades 3 through 8, and then specific high school courses that we test end of course. And then finally, we'll share information on our ACT composite. Of course, anytime we share information about our performance, it's also important that we provide that information in context, specifically in comparison to districts around us that share similar size and demographics to Raytown Quality Schools. So as we did last year, we're sharing information and also making some comparisons, not only to the state, but also to Center, Grandview, Hickman Mills, Independence, and KCBO. We'll start with proportional attendance rate. Again, the percentage of our students attending 90% of the time. You can see that we saw a 3.8% decline in our 90-90 attendance compared to 2022. That is roughly 11% lower than the state, and they saw a small increase to the overall 90% attendance across the state. When comparing our 90 for 90 attendance to those comparable districts, Raytown slotted in at the second position. Moving on to graduation rate. Again, this is our 4-year cohort. So the percentage of students that are able to graduate in 4 years after coming in with that freshman class. Our class of 2023, we saw a 75.9% graduation rate. That's almost 5% lower than the year previous. The state of Missouri also saw a small decline. That percentage puts us about 13% lower than the state's graduation rate. Comparing us to our benchmark districts, Raytown was slotted in the 5th position. Next, dropout rate. Raytown saw an increase of dropouts to 9.1%. That was an increase of a little over 1% from 2022. The state's dropout rate is just under 2%. When compared to benchmark districts, Raytown ranked 6 out of 6. Next is our graduate follow-up survey. This survey is shared with all of our graduates of both high schools, and within 180 days, we are asked to follow up to find out what our graduates are up to. We had a 93% return rate on that survey, which was a 5% increase compared to 2022, and that tracked slightly ahead of the state of Missouri. Raytown ranked 4th of 6 in this particular category. Next, we'll move on to state testing. We'll start with English language arts. And again, what we're sharing here tonight is the percentage of students based on the MAP test given in grades 3 through 8, and then also the EOC test given to our students in sophomore English. We had 25.6% of all of our students participating in the ELA tests score at grade level, which is proficient or better. That was a decline of almost 4% compared to 2022, and almost 18% lower, or a little over 18% lower than the state average. Raytown ranks 3rd out of 6 in benchmark districts. Moving to math, again, students in grades 3 through 8 take the math MAP test. Our end of course test assesses algebra for most of our students when they take it in high school. We do have a smaller percentage of students that take algebra in middle school. Those students take an Algebra 2 end of course test when they take Algebra 2 in high school. The percentage of our students last year that scored on grade level or better was 16.2%. That was a small increase compared to 2022. And the gap between our performance and the state is about 24%. The state saw an increase of just over 1% compared to 2022. In comparison to our benchmark districts, Raytown ranked 5th. Next is our science performance. We assess students in science at 5th grade, at 8th grade, and then when students take biology in high school. So 3 data points. In 2023, we had 21.3% of our students scoring at grade level. That was a decline of 2.6%, and the state saw just over 1% increase. Comparatively speaking, Raytown ranks 4th in science achievement. Social studies performance is only end of course. Only our high school students participate in state assessments when they take American government their junior year. Last year, we saw an increase in performance, on grade level performance in government of just over 2% to raise our on grade level performance to 23.6, while the state saw a small decrease in overall performance. And Raytown ranked 3rd out of 6 districts in social studies performance. Final category for the district report card is ACT composite scores. So this is the average score of the 4 subtests that students take. These scores represent the senior class of 2023. So our graduates, not all of them take ACT, but for those that do, their scores or their last score, their most recent score as a senior, or if they only took the test one time, it's that score that's reported. They may have taken as a junior, but didn't take it as a senior. But whatever score they have, the most recent score is what is calculated here. In 2023, we saw our ACT composite decline by 1.3. The state also saw a small decline in the composite average. When comparing us to other benchmark districts in the KC Metro, Raytown ranked 2nd. Board members, I'll pause here to answer any questions regarding our district report card slides. Okay, we'll transition to, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask about that dropout rate. You explain that again? It's the 4-year.
Yes, so this is the cohort of 2023. So students that entered or at some point during their high school career came to Raytown and left the district and did not enroll in another district or program of study that we were aware of. So they exited, they left our district and either did not re-enroll with us or did not transfer to another school in the state. We track a MOSIS number and records requests as students move around the state or even around the country. And so that percentage represents the percentage of the class of 2023 that did not persist to graduation, and we did not have a record of them transitioning to another school district.
And these are our kids who enrolled in 2019. Is that what that means?
So within that 4-year cohort. So
if you enrolled in 2022 as a junior, you would still be on our roll,
yes.
not on another.
Once you enroll with us, you become part of that cohort that we track for the class of 2023.
And you get 4 years to matriculate, or is that if you didn't enroll in that year?
So you would have enrolled with us, and that was the last school district you enrolled with.
Okay.
And as of the class of 2023, now you may take longer to graduate, but if you stay with us and are enrolled in a program of study with us, you're not counted as a dropout.
Right.
It's only those students who, at the end of that cohort, 4-year cohort, had not re-enrolled either back in our district or we have a record of them transferring to another district somewhere else in the state or somewhere else where that records request was received by the district.
forgive me, but I'm trying to understand 4-year cohort. Does that mean that they didn't enroll within that 4-year time period?
No, they.
How long
within-
does they get to enroll, I guess is what I'm asking.
So we keep records all the way through the end of the 22-23 school year. And so after we get into the June, the last reporting cycle of the 22-23 school year, they track all of the students that had enrolled with us at some point
Okay.
during the 22-23 school year, or prior to the 22-23 school year, or maybe they left us and did not re-enroll somewhere else. Those students are counted as dropouts for Raytown.
Okay. Do we have any idea why we would be that much higher than our surrounding districts?
Yeah, that's a tough question to answer. There are obviously lots of factors that can contribute to a student not persisting in school. There are strategies, things that as we built our strategic plan, starting this year, that we're attempting to be more proactive with tracking down our students that have not essentially have stopped attending school. One of the things that you'll hear about later in the presentation is some of the work that we're doing intentionally around attendance. Those structures and some of those strategies were not in place for the 22-23 school year. Some of those strategies may have been employed by other districts around us, but were not specific strategies that we have instituted for the 22-23 school year. The good news is that we are seeing a significant increase in attendance this year, and part of that increase is due to some of the intentional work that our schools are engaging in to recover students that have stopped attending.
Great, thank you.
Okay. So moving down to our annual performance report. This is the district's accreditation process. It is a process that's new to the state of Missouri. It's called MSIP 6. And there are 140 points that, or actually 200 points that are possible for a district to earn. And most of those points are earned through what's called the performance category. I'll take you through those categories, and then an additional 60 points or 30% of your APR score is part of what's considered a continuous improvement score. So we're going to go through several slides here that'll outline the district's performance according to APR. And then again, at the end, I'll do my best to answer any questions if the board has any. So let's start with the scoring categories. You should see a red arrow that points to essentially the data that we're going to be sharing tonight. This is from the 22-23 school year. So this is the second year of data that's included in the APR. Regardless of the data that I'm sharing tonight, Raytown Quality Schools remains fully accredited. So our classification has not changed. We are in what I'm sharing tonight is the second year of a 3-year sequence of data. And so, again, just want to reiterate that the information that I'm sharing tonight is contributing to a new classification that will be provided from the state next year at this time, after we've had another year of data, that data coming from this school year, 23-24. There are 4 accreditation levels that the state has identified: accreditation with distinction, accreditation, provisionally accredited, and unaccredited. In order to be accredited in the new system, starting in, again, that'll be reported in the fall of 2024, a district must earn at least 70% of the points possible. So specifically to our performance from the 22-23 school year, our district earned 126.6 points to earn us 65.9% of points possible. That is a slight increase over the 21-22 school year. You might notice that there are some differences in points possible. There are some scoring categories that are not fully, and I'll explain that in future slides, but there are more points possible for 22-23 than there were in 21-22. But the district did see an increase in points earned and the percent of points earned. So for APR purposes, again, I'm going to share a couple of slides that'll have language that shows target, on track, approaching, and floor. Target is the best you can do as a school district. The floor is the worst. And then obviously approaching and on track are categories leading you closer to the target range. We have points that are assigned to us for each category based on which level we score in that particular for that particular assessment. So again, this is a lot of information to look at in one page, but this is the performance section. So these are all of the categories that make up about 70, well, not about, they make up 70% of the points possible for accreditation. Under performance, you have all of our students as they participate in state testing, again, ELA, math, science, and social studies across multiple grade levels. The first score that shows all students is the points earned by the score of all of our students combined. The student group percentage represents all of the students that are in any subgroup category, for example, free and reduced lunch, IEP, different ethnicity groups that are identified. Those are considered student groups, and the performance of those smaller student groups are pulled together into one large student group population. And so their performance is shown in that student group. We were for English language arts scoring in the approaching category for both all students and student group. And this is for last year's MAP and EOC. We earned, again, about half the points possible in math, in science, and slightly higher than half the points possible in social studies due to our student group populations showing a higher performance than other districts around the state. The next group of scores represents the growth. And so we look at, or the state looks at, how much students are growing year over year compared to other districts around the state. And so our growth in English language arts was deemed below average. And so we earned just a portion of the points possible there, less than 50%. We also were in the same situation for math, not showing adequate growth compared to the previous year and in comparison to the rest of the state. We also, we showed average growth in science when comparing our performance to previous years and the rest of the state. And we showed below average growth for all students in social studies, and then average growth for our student group populations. Regarding Success Ready, CCR stands for College and Career Readiness Assessments. So assessments like ACT, AccuPlacer, the ASVAB, and ACT Work Keys are all assessments that are given to students to prepare them or to understand how ready they are for what's next. So based on the participation and performance of our students on one of those 4 assessments, we earned 5 out of 10 points possible. We also earned 5 out of 10 points possible for the for students earning advanced credit. So the state looks at the number of graduates you have in the district, how many college credits those students earned while in high school, and the number of college credits we earned put us in the approaching category, and we earned 5 points out of that 5 out of 10 possible. Graduation rate is calculated a little bit differently for APR. So we looked at our 4-year graduation rate for the district report card. The state allows you to earn, or they track a 4, 5, 6, and 7-year cohort. So those kids that persist to graduation, even though it might take them longer than 4 years, those kids are included in our 7-year graduation rate, which was the highest performing or the biggest percentage of when we track graduates. And so the state gave us that point total, and we earned 75% of the points in an on-track designation. And the last category is, the last category is our graduate follow-up. And we, because of our high percentage of students participating in that survey, we earned all of our points possible and hit the target category. I'll pause there, board. Any questions about any of the performance categories on APR?
So on these are the performance totals, but some of these say growth.
Right. Yeah, so
Is
this
that part
is,
of the 30% where it says gross?
no, this is part of the 70%. So
Okay.
they track our performance for that year. So for the 22-23 school year, the first 4 categories for status represent how we did just last year. The growth categories look at and compare how we performed compared to previous years.
Okay.
So they want to look at not only how well are you performing in any given year, but they also look at how do you improve or decline your performance year over year, and award points for both scenarios.
And would you say, looking at these scales, you see improvement, you see some improvement that we are approaching our goals?
So Dr. Douglas, that's a great question. We certainly have work to do. I would say that a lot of the intentional work that I will share in a future slide that sort of encapsulates some of the purposed work we're doing. I think we are much better positioned in 23-24 than we were in the 22-23 school year to see systematic structures, improvements put in place to see growth in student performance. Last year, I can tell you just from my perspective, being new to the district and coming in, really spending a lot of the year trying to just learn the district and understand where we were. There were not a lot of accountability measures that we put in place last year because we wanted to make sure that we had an understanding of our current reality. We had built the trust with our stakeholders before we really began to ramp up expectations and accountability.
Okay.
I would say that we are absolutely on the right track for this year. There was some good work that happened last year, but I'd say we are much more focused and systematic this year.
Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Griner.
Yes, sir.
Do you think that the academies being installed would help this out any?
Well, yeah, I would say that definitely for some of the categories, when we make learning more applicable to students' lives, when we try to make connections to things students are interested in terms of what's next, I think there is greater leverage to help students understand the why behind why we need to give our best. During state assessment, a test score doesn't define a student, but I think it does represent how the school system gets students ready for what's next, and can they be on grade level readers, on grade level math students, having the numeracy skills they need to be ready for what's next. These assessments really represent MAP and EOC, the on grade level expectations that the state has. And so the more that we can make that learning, especially at the high school, more relevant, I think districts that have implemented an academy model have seen the byproduct of that include increased performance on state testing. But I do think it goes deeper than that, Mr. Newton, and
Yes.
it speaks to how we're teaching all of our students, so tier 1 instruction, but then how are we systematically meeting the needs of our students that just need more time and support to learn the on-grade level standards. That is the work that we've begun in earnest this year, K-12, or actually pre-K-12. It's happened in pockets around the district for a long time, but I can say with certainty that effort to help our kids be better on grade level learners is part of the intentional work that's happening this year.
I was looking at those comparables to Independence. And those numbers you were showing, and I know Independence has those academies. So that's why I was kind of looking at that. I know it really helps as far as attendance and things like that. So that's why I was wondering.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Yep, you bet. Great question. So we'll transition to the continuous improvement component of APR. So again, performance is 70%, continuous improvement is 30%. These points were earned by the district last year. We saw all of our points earned based on our participation in the development of our strategic plan. You'll notice that the LEA response to standards, those are points that are going to be awarded next year for our intentional work to survey stakeholders around and our work intentionally to address learning gaps. So we actually received a questionnaire from the state, and we collectively responded to share our strategic plan and some of the intentional work there. So we anticipate earning all those points possible for this year. For climate and culture, we earned all 4 points for providing opportunities for staff to provide us feedback on the climate and culture of the district, and showed what we were doing intentionally to try to improve that climate and culture. Success Ready, under continuous improvement, KEA is essentially our kindergarten readiness assessment that we are required to provide to every incoming kindergartner. We earned all of our points there to show that we did assess our incoming kindergartners regarding their readiness for school. We did earn all of our points in the ICAP, which is the 4-year plan. Actually, it's a 6-year plan that our 8th graders initially develop in the spring of their 6th grade year. It stays with them through high school. It's revisited, and then actually it's part of a plan for the 2 years post-graduation. So that ICAP is that individualized plan for every student after high school. We did earn all the points there. We did not earn any attendance points. That is due to our percentage of students attending at least 90% of the time. We must have a 90 percentage above 70% in order for the state to award any points for that. We are below that number. Again, I'll just mention, and our schools are doing a great job of really working to ensure consistent attendance for our students. Lots of celebrations that we were able to share with buildings at the end of the semester. Almost every building is experiencing an increase in their 90 from last year at this time. And we have at least 6 buildings in the district that are showing double-digit gains compared to this time last year. So we're very encouraged by that work, and it is a credit to all the adults and our families for responding as schools are working with families to ensure that our students are attending more frequently. We know that if kids are here and they're attached and they feel like what they're learning is relevant, they're going to show up. And so again, that's a credit to our schools for some of the intentional work that they're doing. Unfortunately, last year, our 90%, our 90 for 90 percentage was not high enough to earn any points. CTE expansion, that's a tip of the cap to Herndon Career Center, Dr. Reichert and her team. There are bonus points that we are able to earn through CTE expansion. And so we were able to use new programming at Herndon to qualify for those points. And then kudos to our finance department and our technology department for their work around the audit, the ASBR report, and our submission of data to the state through the core data system. So I'll just back up here a couple slides. Those points earned contribute to the 126.6 total out of 192 possible, which brought us to 65.9% points earned for 22-23. So what that means for Raytown is in the 22-23 school year, we earned 65.9%. That puts us at a projected, again, that is not our current accreditation level. We are fully accredited, but if nothing changed between now and next year, we would be in the provisionally accredited level. And you can also see where that puts Raytown in comparison to our benchmark districts. We are ranked 5th out of 6 districts with APR performance in 22-23.
Is that an average of the 3 years, or is that just cumulative? Is that how just whatever the score is next year?
Yeah, so as the state calculates that, they look at all 3 years, and then they will make an initial classification. I'm not sure if it's going to be an average or if they will take your highest of the 3. My understanding is that the state wants to, reward students or reward districts for growth and good performance. Our hope is that if we're able to in the 23-24 school year, we're able to show 70% or higher, that would be where we would be slotted in terms of accreditation.
Mr. President.
Yes.
So Dr. Griner, obviously you don't know, and we're not going to hold you to that, but from what you're saying and from different comments you make, it sounds like you're fairly confident that you can add 10 to 12 points onto that total for the next year, which would put us over the 70% number.
Yes, Mr. Moore, I am confident. And so just to wrap up the slides, and again, be happy to continue to answer questions the board might have. There is some great work happening at all of our schools this year around on-grade level performance for our students. So as we've reported before, there are many strategic planning projects that are occurring around the district this year, specifically for accreditation. I'll draw your attention to strategic plan number 26. I'll just click on that very quickly. Not to read all of this to you, but there is a very intentional plan for us to work with our buildings to create a cadence of accountability and supports for all of our buildings to show that growth over time. And really this plan is really focused on our collaborative teams at every grade level, every course we teach, setting goals, monitoring student progress, and really establishing what we believe to be those essential learning standards for every unit we teach. We've done some intentional work to make sure that those essential standards we've identified align with the high stakes tests our students take in the spring. So you see that term heat maps. We've done some advanced analytics and have really been intentional to align what we know our students are going to be tested on, those high leverage standards, because every standard is not assessed the same way. There just simply is not enough time, and the state does not assess every standard. So we needed to get very strategic about understanding what the state was assessing and making sure that our daily instruction, what all kids get, was aligned. And so kudos to Mr. Britt and our C&I department. They did some great work this summer to establish essentials and also proficiency scales, so that not only did we know what the standards were, but also what proficient work looked like for every standard. And so our buildings are using that information to guide their weekly collaboration. So in their collaborative teams, they are setting goals for every unit they teach, and they're tracking student performance standard by standard, unit by unit. They're coming together weekly to make instructional commitments that are very specific to that essential standard. And so our work this year is very focused in that effort, pre-K-12. Also, where it says Tier 2 interventions, we've added some additional supports this year, again, pre-K through 12, to provide timely and systematic support for our students that are struggling to meet expectations for these essential on-grade level standards. This is not every standard we teach, but it's those standards we know are high leverage and are priorities for every grade level and every content area. And so schools are providing specific Tier 2 interventions in math and ELA, because, just in terms of what we can handle as a district, the manpower we have available, we are and just the number of categories that math and ELA are assessed on, we are really focusing on providing additional time and support for math and ELA. We are providing interventions for other content areas, but that is our focus this year. Buildings have made adjustments to their bell schedules. Teachers have taken on the responsibility of providing these interventions. And I just cannot be prouder of the work of our principals and our schools. They have taken this charge through our equity council that meets monthly to really manage and troubleshoot a lot of the challenges that have come up week to week with delivering Tier 2 interventions. But we know research and evidence prove that we have to have timely and systematic interventions for our students. And so that's part of that school progress plan. I'll mention just the final point here. The school progress plans that all of our schools are developing and monitoring and providing monthly updates to the board. We track every collaborative team in the district and how successful they are at meeting their unit goals. We are tracking attendance and recognizing successful practices on how we increase attendance. We're also looking at behavior, because we know that we've got to do a better job of keeping our students in school, and that starts with them making good decisions. And so all of our schools are looking at those frequent infractions that are happening and figuring out ways to decrease that recidivism of kids doing the same thing over and over. And as those consequences increase, at times that means they're spending time out of school, and when they're not in class, they can't learn. So we're being very intentional there. And then also we recognize that a lot of our students are coming to school with a lot of trauma, and as adults, we need to be better prepared to meet the demands of students that are experiencing trauma, so that we can help them regulate their behaviors so that they can stay engaged in learning and not be dysregulated with other things going on. Although a lot of times it's a challenge, but if our students feel safe and they can regulate their behavior, they can learn. And so school progress plans this year focused on those 4 areas. Every school has developed goals in each of these 4 areas, and they are tracking them throughout the year. So, Mr. Moore, to your question about our level of confidence, I am very confident that we have seen improvement in performance, and that's going to continue to trend in the right direction so that when we're back here at this time next year, we will be sharing with you the good news of being fully accredited.
Mr. President,
Yes.
thank you. Dr. Griner, thank you for those slides. And to your few points you made, I wanted to ask a few questions. To your last point, when you talked about kids who we teach who may come from or need assistance when it comes to regulating their behavior and dealing with trauma, my question pertained to how are we equipping our instructors and our staff and our teachers to deal with the demographic of kids who may struggle in those areas. Is that a part of our plan in helping our students? Because they can only do so much as young scholars, but as adults, I feel like we also need to be better equipped. Is that a part of, or is that in the plan?
Yeah, great question, Mr. Watson. Yes, so part of our strategic plan specifically addresses social emotional learning. So Trauma Smart is a fantastic way of addressing students in crisis and really helping students regulate their behavior. What the district was missing was a concerted, systematic effort to teach skills around social awareness, self-awareness, personal responsibility, the types of social emotional learning skills that our students need, along with academic skills. And so this year, as part of our strategic plan, we are currently piloting 3 different social emotional learning curriculum around the district. We gave buildings some choice to do some pilots this year. We will be landing on a recommendation in the spring, and then in 24-25, we will actually have a full-scale implemented social emotional curriculum that all of our kids will get, regardless of what school they attend, what grade level they attend. We will be providing a more systematic approach to social emotional learning. And I would say that that's been something that's been missing for us. And so, again, through some great work through our Student Services Office, led by Dr. Cordell, we are currently piloting social emotional learning curriculum around the district so that we can make a sound decision with input from our stakeholders towards a single SEL Tier 1 curriculum starting next year.
Okay, thank you. Mr. President, follow-up question.
Yes.
In regards to the last couple of years and you seeing the improvement from last year to this year, can you speak a little bit to the systems that were inherited by Superintendent Dr. Knox and your team in regarding, just like you just spoke about, the systems that were or were not in place that have directly contributed to what's really just dismal numbers when it comes to our report card?
Well, Mr. Watson, respectfully, I don't want to speak to anything prior to last year. I really can't comment on the reasons why or why not. I will say that school districts work hard to meet the needs of their students. Many districts are sort of caught in the whirlwind of responding. I know, for example, a lot of districts really struggled through the pandemic. All of us struggled through the pandemic to really in a meaningful way meet the needs of our students, both academic skills and social emotional learning skills. I would say not only did Raytown struggle, but every district in the state struggled to provide a level of support. And it really caused a lot of school districts to rethink how they did business. And then kids coming back from the pandemic who had not been in that structure of support, had not had those expectations, and really pushed back in a lot of different ways at trying to revisit school the way maybe it had been done pre-pandemic. I'm not making excuses, but I will say that I don't know that any school district was prepared for what was the result of those 18 months that kids were away from us. And so that was a huge mountain to climb for every school district. Some school districts really did not have a cadence of accountability, and that's, you have to be careful to balance support and accountability. And what we found was that there were pockets of excellence around the district, no doubt. Schools doing good work and working really hard, but really were sort of treading water and didn't understand perhaps what it was going to take to not only keep their head above water, but really advance. And so I credit Dr. Martin Knox and our building leadership and just the way we've come together over the last 18 months to actually work to build systems of support. But I would say, to your question, Mr. Watson, the challenges that Raytown Quality Schools faced coming out of the pandemic were similar challenges that many school districts across the state and the country face. We were not alone in really sort of scrambling to figure out how we could better meet the needs of our students while also taking care of our staff and being realistic in terms of what we could ask from them. That's a delicate balance to strike. And so, coming into this year, attempting to create a bit more sense of urgency around the work. And I really believe our staff and our kids have responded to that. And I'm so encouraged as we are in schools every day, in classrooms, seeing the work of our teaching staff, the work of our support staff, just rally and work tirelessly to improve outcomes for kids. It is inspiring, and I just will say that the work that is happening has happened in the district, and the work that I'm seeing happening on a day-to-day basis from our schools is remarkable. We are on the right track, and I am very encouraged as to where we are headed, not only just anecdotally, but in the results we are seeing so far this year. So kudos to our teachers and our support staff for the work that they're doing with our principals in our buildings.
Yeah, Mr. President, so thank you, Dr. Greiner, for all of this information. It is exciting time for Raytown, and I know that we can only continue to get better. I'm very familiar with all of these things that you have mentioned. I just kind of have a question. With some of these changes, are they going to involve more staffing, more resources? And if so, what does that collaboration piece look like, I guess, with human resources, just to ensure that we're balancing the challenges of our staff and what they're going to face when they're doing this, and just making sure that they're well supported. So I'm interested in, is there a collaboration piece just to ensure that we have what we need? And I know certainly there have been challenges across school districts with staffing. So
yes, Natalie, that's something we are continuously discussing. We've had meetings over the last few weeks as we look ahead to 24-25 and forecast needs related to building improving academic skills for our students, improving supports available to students and families, but also balancing that with taking care of our employees and providing highly competitive salary and benefits packages. And that's a challenge that's not unique to Raytown. That's something that every district faces. But yes, we are working collaboratively as an executive leadership team under Dr. Martin Knox's leadership, Dr. Calcara, myself, all of us are working to create, an understanding of our current reality with money we have available, and then being responsible to create a budget and a staffing plan that hopefully does both, increases supports, but then also works to take care of our employees.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Griner.
All right.
Okay. Thank you guys for your time. I'm sorry if that went longer than you'd hoped, but I do appreciate the opportunity to share that information with the board.
We thank you for sharing it. I would say that one thing that I really appreciate is the true assessment of where we are and the work that's ahead of us and what we have to do. So we support you in that and appreciate your openness with sharing with us what's going on in our schools.
Thank you, Dr. Griner. Thanks for your clarity.
And the final item under the report of the superintendent is always the amazing report of our student representatives. I know that they are on this call as well. I can't see from my screen. Raytown South High and Raytown High, our representatives. I see South High on here. Riley, hi. Happy New
Hi,
Year.
Dr. Martin Knox. Good to see you. Good to see you, board members. Just a quick report for you guys. On December 18th, Raytown South hosted its first in-person Christmas party since before COVID. I think if you ask any member there that it was a huge success, and everyone had a blast from everyone who set it up, as well as everyone who came to get the gifts. The kids love the karaoke and face painting station. With that, I want to shout out the RSHS choir who helped out with the karaoke, and then they also did some Christmas carols with the kids. And then also shout out to everyone who donated to the Christmas party to make someone's holiday break better. It was really heartwarming to see people's reactions to all their gifts and just spreading cheer. And then the Battle of the Birds, which is the Raytown v. Raytown South game for basketball, is coming up. Our assembly and the game is going to be on January 26th. It's going to be top priority for Stuco now because I think we went all out for our Battle of the Birds football game. And so we want to match that energy with this assembly. And then I was told that I can invite all the board members to our assembly to find out what Southside Pep looks like. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, board and Dr. Penelope Knox. My name is Eliza Soria, and I will be representing for Raytown High School. Since it is a new year, we've kind of been starting to plan new things that are coming up, which is our courtwarming dance, which is a winter dance, kind of like homecoming, but for winter. And then also a food drive. We've been starting to plan all that stuff. That's it.
Thank you.
Well, it's great seeing you both, and thank you for your report. Mr. Burton, that concludes the report of the superintendent items.
All right. Thank you very much. Next, we'll have our public comment period. If you would like to speak to an item on the agenda as outlined in board policy BDDH, please send an email to Rachel Johnson at racheljohnson@raytownschools.org no later than 4 p.m. on Monday, January 8th, 2024. At each of the regular meetings, a period of time not to exceed 30 minutes will be provided for district residents and employees to address the Board of Education on matters placed on the agenda for consideration. Names, addresses, and agenda items that speakers intend to address shall be requested. 5 minutes will be allotted to each person, except in instances wherein 6 or more persons have indicated the desire to speak, in in which case remarks may be limited to 3 minutes and to one appearance, thus allowing maximum number of participants to speak in the allotted time period. Speakers would not be permitted to participate in gossip, make defamatory comments, or use abusive or vulgar language. Rachel, do we have anyone that's listed?
We do. We have two that emailed me. Miss Marie Tracy on agenda item 10.1, the committee reports, and Miss Kristen Hetzel on agenda item 10.1, committee reports. In that order.
Okay, just a second. All right, I would like to call Ms. Marie Tracy on item 10.1.
Good evening, Mr. President, Dr. Martin Knox, members of the board. My name is Marie Tracy. I'm representing Raytown NEA. In addition to that, I wear other hats in the district. I am a 10-year veteran teacher in this district, and I have been a Raytown resident for 8 years as well. I'm invested in this district. I love our students. A little bit about me. Raytown NEA has some questions about item 10.1, the board committees. Who is on these committees? When and where do these committees meet? In what buildings? Are district employees, including teachers, on these committees? Raytown NEA has safety concerns for employees who may be participating in committees with board members. Have any board members been removed from committees or board titles given recent allegations? Those are just a few questions from Raytown NEA. We have submitted some of those questions in writing as well. We look forward to the board's response. Thank you for all you do to keep staff and students safe. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we'll have, I'm sorry, would you say the name again? Rachel.
Yes, Miss Kristen Hetzel on agenda item 10.1, committee reports.
Right. Next we'll have Ms. Hetzel.
Good evening. My name is Kristen Hetzel, and I'm going to comment on agenda item 10.1 regarding committees. I originally requested to comment on agenda item 13.2 regarding the December 19th special meeting, but was told that would not be allowed. My husband and I are class of 2001 graduates at Raytown South High School. We have 2 children that attend Raytown schools since pre-K. One of them even got to escort board member Johnson Berry around Central Middle School. I also work as a substitute for the district, and I serve on the board of trustees for the Raytown Educational Foundation. I'm also a vocal champion of both our community and our school district. At the December 19th meeting, the school board voted to censure Mr. Watson for an incident with a teacher that included inappropriate language and a potentially aggressive confrontation.
Excuse me. Please direct your comments toward the committee reports, agenda item, or we will not acknowledge you as a proper speaker. Excuse me for a second.
Regarding committee work, I would like to know what the expectations are of board members in terms of serving on, leading, or participating in committee work, and if Mr. Watson is allowed committee work after his undefined censure. I would like to know if committee meetings ever take place on school district. And I would like to question the fairness.
Ms. Hetzel, thank you for addressing the Board of Education at this opportunity for comment. We've made note of your question so that someone in the administration may get back to you. We have to direct your comments to the committee reports agenda item. And so we'll no longer acknowledge you as a proper speaker. All right. We can continue to the next item.
Mr. President.
Yes.
I move the board approved October 9th, 2023 Finance Committee, December 11th, 2023 Community Engagement Committee, and December 11th, 2023 Board Policy Review Committee meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Would you like me to call the roll?
Yes.
Ms. Salisbury,
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Burton,
Yes.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Ms. Johnsonberry,
Yes.
Mr. Newton,
Yes.
Dr. Douglas.
Yes.
Do we have any committee reports from the policy committee?
No, I'm sorry, I'm not prepared to respond, but we do have minutes in in tonight's agenda.
Okay. There's no report from the Capital Improvement Committee. Is there any report from the Community Engagement Committee?
No, the Community Engagement Committee will be having an upcoming meeting, so we didn't have any minutes or notes from the meeting.
Is there a report from the Curriculum and Professional Development Committee?
Yes, there is. So I'll give that report. So our committee met today and our key focus was discussing the Career and Educational Planning Guide and its companion booklet, which is an additional resource for our parents, staff, and students. It's streamlined to align with the full guide. And so we discussed some highlights, such as new courses that are being offered, courses that are being removed, and courses that are being revised. Just some of that detailed work also within the companion booklet that goes with the guide, the full guide. It includes highlights about our college, career, and life skill readiness. And then information for students for their individual career, academic plan, career and technical education information, 6 career paths with a lot of detailed descriptions on those, and a lot of other beneficial information which will help steer the ship for our students to be successful. So some of the work to kind of hit the ground running will be in the freshman seminars, so that these are really intentional and dedicated to students being able to understand these pathways and their options. So I want to give a shout out to the committee for their tremendous amount of work. Many stakeholders were part of this process over months of time. And so this wasn't just something that was done very briefly and off the cuff. And so part of that training will involve counselors being able to understand how to disseminate this information to staff to kind of help with the learning curve. And I believe that's all. I have a lot more notes, but I want to be concise here. Our next meeting is going to be on May the 13th.
Thank you. Is there any report from the Safety Committee? Or Citizens Advisory Committee update?
No, sir, the Citizens Advisory has not met, but we will be meeting in the future.
Okay. All right, that'll be it for our board committee reports. Next, we have the adoption of our 2024-2025 academic calendar and the 25-26 tentative calendar. A motion?
Mr. President, I move the Board of Education approve the 2024-2025 academic calendar and the 2025-2026 tentative academic calendar as presented.
Second,
Motion made and seconded.
Would you like me to call the roll?
Yes.
Ms. Salisbury,
yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Burton,
Yes.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson-Berry,
Yes.
Mr. Newton,
Yes.
Dr. Douglas.
Yes.
Right. Next, we have a selection of abatement contractor for South High Performing Arts Center. Josh, is there a motion first?
Mr. President, I move that the board approve Gherkin Environmental to abate South High School PAC with a base price of $75,530 and contingency of $7,553 for a total not to exceed $83,083.
Second,
Motion made and second. Josh?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Burton, members of the board, and Dr. Martin Knox. I want to bring to attention that Gherkin is actually our second lowest bid. Our first low bid was Advanced Environmental. They're about $7,274 cheaper. However, they failed to meet unit pricing. Whenever we have an instance where we have unknown, I ask for unit pricing. So if we open up a wall cavity or open up the floor and have some unknowns in there, that we already have a set price that they're going to charge us. They acknowledged the addendum, but did not give us unit pricing. Therefore, I went with second lowest bidder in recommending Gherkin Environmental.
Hey, where does this put us with our overall contingency?
That's not part of our contingency. It was already budgeted as part of it.
Oh, okay.
We keep that pulled out separate from the project. That way we're not paying a general contractor, in this case, a construction manager, their premium on top of this. I manage it directly.
Okay. Is there any other question? All right, let's take the roll. Rachel?
Ms. Salisbury,
yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Burton,
Yes.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson-Berry,
Yes.
Mr. Newton,
Yes.
Dr. Douglas.
Yes.
Motion passes. Next, we have a bus purchase. There a motion, emergency purchase?
Mr. President, I move that the board, I move that the Board of Education approve the purchase of the identified bus for use with the Life University program with a purchase price of $102,900 from Masters Transportation.
Second.
A motion made and seconded. Any discussion on this item?
Is this a replacement, Mr. President?
Good evening. This is Josh again. I'm going to answer questions about this as well. No, we have Life University is a program that we have. It's a special education program. We have intern and externships that we provide our students opportunities in our community and in our schools. This is a bus that we're purchasing to be able to meet the needs of that program. It's also versatile and able to be part of the fleet if we use that. With our driver shortages, it allows we're getting the teachers that work in that program, their CDLs as well, to be able to drive the bus to where we'll be able to get everybody where they need to be.
Right.
I'm just curious, Life University, is that an actual physical building or is it just a program?
So it's a program, but then we also have a building that sits next to the former admin building, the ISC. There's a White House there that we have kids that go in and learn life skills, how to cook, clean, take care, and live independently. And then we do internships, which would obviously be internal within other buildings around the district. And then externships, they're at different jobs that can prepare them for readiness once they graduate from high school.
These were some of the kids that were shown in our Ray of Hope last month, right?
Correct.
Excellent.
All right, Rachel.
Yes, Ms. Salisbury,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Burton,
Yes.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson Berry,
Yes.
Mr. Newton,
Yes.
Dr. Douglas.
Yes.
Motion passes. Next, we have the 2024-25 Career and Educational Planning Guide.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education approve the 2024-25 Career and Educational Planning Guide.
Second.
Motion made and seconded.
Good evening again, President Burton, Vice President Watson, members of the board. I could ask for your just another few minutes of your time tonight to talk about our CPEG document. You have 3 documents tonight in the attachment. We won't go through the first, which is the actual 140-page document that serves our middle and high school students for their course selection process. I do want to, though, just recognize the efforts of many around the district, both in our curriculum and instruction department led by Tyler Britt, and also our secondary education office led by Jessica Bassett. A lot of collaboration and input gathered throughout the district over the last several months that culminates to the documents that you see here tonight. I do want to invite Mr. Britt and Ms. Bassett to join us to speak specifically about some of the highlights of the CPEG this year. I want to begin and allow Mr. Britt to speak to some of the work in his department around some new courses and some revised courses based on feedback from stakeholders.
Yeah, good evening all. I'll be very brief. I know the night is slipping away from us. Really quickly, just we're excited. We have a process every fall, actually, just as we get the school year started, we almost automatically start thinking about the next school year. And so early into the semester, about October, we start thinking about a process to add new courses or remove new courses for the following year. So we really do plan that far in advance. A couple of courses that we're introducing for the next school year, 24-25, that we're particularly excited about. A new elective at the middle school level, middle school introduction to music technology, a great elective that we're excited about. The photograph there is actually Mr. Colster, our fine arts coordinator, and a couple of the music fellows from middle school working on writing that course. So for those students in middle school that maybe are not going to pick up an instrument and learn how to play something, and maybe they're not a vocalist, they don't want to pick up sheet music and sing, but still maybe could be interested in learning how to produce a beat or make music with the aid of technology or something like that. We're excited to bring that course to them. Excited about this freshman seminar course. This is sort of our first chance to grab those freshman students the moment that they become a Blue Jay or a Cardinal and say, hey, Freshie, this is how we do it at our school. We're going to teach you some things about, college and career readiness. That ICAP that Dr. Greiner talked about earlier, we're going to shore that up, really make sure you've got a good vision for what you want your 4 years of high school to be. And most importantly, try to use that time to help get you connected to resources in high school, activities, clubs, mentors, get you hooked up with all the things that it takes to be successful, including some of those important study skills and kind of self-regulating skills. Excited about a couple other courses. I'll point out quickly the behavioral health class at Herndon. Really excited about what Dr. Riker and her team is bringing on board over there. We know that community health, behavioral health is a huge need, not just workforce need, not just in the region, but across the country. And so we're really excited for what that could be. And then, of course, there's always a couple things that we just tweak and revise and sometimes remove courses. Some of these, the power tech and the general metal tech classes, actually classes we haven't offered in a few years because of staffing and then just technology equipment that we don't have in our schools anymore. So we've cleaned some of those things up. There's always additions and deletions. So those are some of the big highlights of that big 140-page document. And Ms. Bassett, I know, probably wants to speak to some of the career path work that we've done through her strategic plan work.
Good evening.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Britt. So before Jessica starts, again, I just want to sing Jessica's praises for the intentional work that she's done around this strategic planning project. I don't want to steal any of her thunder. Ms. Bassett, take it away.
No thunder to be stolen. Good evening, board president and board members, Dr. Martin Knox. I do want to share just a little bit about the work that we've done on the strategic plan around career paths. We wanted to be very intentional in helping our students identify what they are interested in and to begin to choose classes that would support them along the way so they will be ready post-secondary. The way that this booklet is set up, we know that our career guide, our course guide is a very large book and has lots of things that are needed for all of our students to know. But we wanted to put together a smaller booklet that will accompany our course guide that will provide our students information specifically around the career paths, our clusters. And so you'll see that this book will be broken up into different sections, especially when we get to the information about that will help students decide what courses they should take and what careers they could be interested in, as well as opportunities for clubs and activities and internships. The way that this book accompanies our course guide is that you will see in the actual course guide those hexagons, those color hexagons to help students kind of maneuver and find the classes that connect with their points of interest. We also wanted to make sure this book included just some basic information, some college readiness indicators, and we didn't want to just start at what would be needed at high school. So you'll find some information about some of those markers for end of 5th grade, 8th grade, and then at the end of their high school years. We also know that it's important to include information about careers. So we did the exact same thing for our parents and our students who may be focused more on career opportunities. So we put those in place as well. And finally, we ended this section with life indicators, these things that our students need to be able to do and be proficient in so that they can maneuver in terms of learning, life, and literacy. We can continue. Here is where our course guide in this booklet does, there is some duplication. We wanted to include our ICAP, our individual career and academic planning piece. So our students and families can look at that and see how they will be working in terms of outlining what they will do next and what happens in 9th, 10th, and 11th and 12th grade. We also included the information in terms of our career tech. So what students need to know in terms of those requirements. And so that's also a part of this book. So we've kind of narrowed it down to these 30 pages, but here's what we're really excited about. We've taken 3 pages for each career path. And so we've broken it down where you can find information about what are some of the descriptions that go along with this career path. All of this work aligns with what DESE has put in place. We also wanted to make sure our students, and when I say we, I'm talking about our team. We had a CPEG redesign team that met and got together with this. Our team wanted to make sure that we included information about earnings within the state of Missouri in each of these career paths. And so we have that information as well. In the middle of the page, you will see all the courses that we offer that fit within that career path, as well as some of the descriptions about the qualities that these students may have, as well as activities that they may be involved in that relate to the career paths. We want to include information about college majors, as well as career-related activities, things that they need to involve themselves in if they are really deeply interested in this career. And then finally, we also, on the third page of will include information in terms of subjects. So things that they may want to study, and then information about the different career areas within that pathway. The last piece that will be on underneath that graphic is just places where they can work with our real world coordinators in terms of looking for internships, mentorships, some of the out of school and in school activities that they need to be a part of if that's what they're truly interested in. And you'll see this same format all the way down. So if it's business and technology, that information is there. It's in, it goes all 6. And so health services, we wanted to make sure we offered our families information, deep information about it, where they can look closely and then begin to make decisions about the courses that their students need to take based off of their student interests and our ability to meet those interests in the 6 career areas. So.
Very good.
Thank you.
This really concludes the this part of my strategic planning project for this in terms of career paths. And so this will lead us, regardless if we choose academies or not, this will lead us in terms of being able to have the right kinds of conversations with our students and our families around what courses we need so that we can prepare our students post-secondary.
All right, thank you very much. Any comments, board members? Questions?
I think a lot of good work has gone into that. I was going fast. I'd be trying to read it, but it looks like a lot of great work has gone into that, and appreciate it. Appreciate you for that. Your team.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank my team. I do want to say that it wasn't done alone. It was our course design team, as well as our teacher teams that came out and that really played a major role in identifying the courses that align with the different career paths. So this is not something that was done alone. It was something that was done collectively. And you'll see in the actual course guide itself, these hexagons that help to share that information with our families and students.
Okay.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Tyler. Board, any questions that myself, Tyler, or Jessica can answer?
Anyone? All right, I think that'll be it. All right, next we'll have the annual benefits performance review and renewal information.
Good evening, President Burton, members of the board, Dr. Martin Knox, and roughly 70 some odd guests who are still hanging on and with us tonight. You listen to all that Dr. Greiner and his team discussed, all that work. That is all contingent, that we have highly qualified staff working in our buildings, working with our kids, doing the things that they do. And it's contingent that we keep them engaged, we keep them hired, we keep them active, we keep them healthy so they can bring their best selves to work. So the annual benefits and a competitive salary and benefits package is certainly top priority for us. I want to thank our CBIZ partners who really help us in doing that. I think one of the greatest benefits of our district is our on-site clinic. And again, our partners, our CBIZ partners and our premise partners help us be able to maintain that. It is a remarkable benefit we have here that is exclusive and unique to Raytown School District. Tonight we have Michelle Kahn and Aaron Eason from CBIZ to take us through our annual performance review and to talk about our renewal process that we'll be going through. So Aaron and Michelle, there you go. I can share my screen too if we want to quickly. Oh, you got it. There you go. Perfect.
All right. Thank you so much, Carl. And thank you to the board and board president for having us today. We're going to move through, first of all, you might have seen there were 26 pages to this document. We are not going through all of them. We're going to just go through the first several, and then majority at the back are really just for your review later as you wish. So if you can flip to the next slide. So from a standpoint of an agenda, the first 3 items are really what we're going to spend the time on. First, just brief introductions of the team that supports Raytown Quality Schools locally. Spend a little bit of time talking about the renewals that we had this year and in prior years, and then really spend a few minutes talking about the process for marketing your benefits that we're going through right now. Just so by way of introductions, Dave Johnson, who is very sad not to be able to attend this evening, is our team lead. He's the senior benefits consultant for the group health plan benefits that you offer. Michelle Kahn, who's here today, is our senior account manager in charge of managing the day-to-day needs of Raytown Quality Schools with regards to benefits. My technical title is the National Onsite Clinic Consultant. I have a large role in helping work with the district and Premise Health, who operates the clinic at your wellness center, and my partner is Caitlin Kerr on that. And then you can see Lacey Bowen and Chelsea Huggins are local well-being service folks who help strategize and manage your well-being programs. And then Alex Medina is our account coordinator who supports all of our teams in the district and a lot of the administrative work that we do. So our 2023 renewal year plan year, just as a reminder, run July 1 through June 30. So this summer saw the implementation of your medical renewal, which was really exciting to have a flat renewal, meaning there was no increase passed on either to the district or to employees. This is very much out of line to what the majority of organizations are seeing, which is anywhere between 9 and 11% on average. Some are seeing much higher than that. And Carl mentioned it, but I would just reinforce the district does a tremendous amount to help support the health and well-being of district employees and the family members that are on your plan, the health center, the wellness center, the clinic being leaders in that. And so while that's not exclusively what drives your renewal, it certainly helps to better manage health care costs. By better managing healthcare costs, you have those dollars to spend in all the really important initiatives, salaries, et cetera, that you've talked about today. So there was a flat renewal for medical, a couple of minor plan design changes, primarily a change in a deductible status that was really just a requirement of the IRS in order to keep your deductible embedded, and then a couple of small pharmacy programs that had very minimal disruption that really allow your plan to take advantage of some of the copay programs that the pharmaceutical companies provide folks. Your dental, you are under a rate guarantee through 2024, same with vision, and then life and accident and your employee assistance program are both under a rate guarantee through 2025. And so we won't be revisiting those until next year. And then finally, your Medicare Advantage renewal, that's a small plan that's utilized by just over 100 employees. Rates, there was a slight increase for about 18 folks. Most of everyone else stayed flat or even saw a minor decrease. So 2023 was a very good year in terms of renewals for Raytown Quality Schools. Then just from a history standpoint, and I'm going to go high level here, you can see details around renewals and plan design changes from 2019 through 2022. So the 4 years prior to the 2023 renewal. And as you go through that, what you're going to see is that overall you saw flat or reduction in renewals, except for 1 year, that was 2020, where you did see a pretty major increase. However, cumulatively, your medical rates have been well below both the national average as well as our CBIZ book of business averages. So, and you've had to make very minimal plan design changes, which is really important from a disruption standpoint. Our goal is to always only make changes that are in the best interest of your employees. And so we've been able to do that alongside the district and Blue KC for medical. For dental and vision, which are both out to bid currently, dental and vision are both employee only funded plans, meaning if the employee elects them, they pay the full premium. That's important, obviously, because in that we want to, there's no ability for the district to take on any of that cost in the current structure. And so it's really important that we try to have well-managed plans. And you can also see in here, we've had very low renewals to, and many rate caps or rate holds within the renewals that we've seen. In fact, are in the midst of a 2-year rate guarantee and heading into this renewal. For both vision and dental, we are very hopeful that the responses are going to come back highly competitive and positive for employees. And then similarly, life and accident has been flat for the last 4 or 5 years, actually. So strong performance there as well. Couple of highlights on well-being. In 2022, so 2 years ago, we helped the district go out to RFP for an EAP and selected at that time a new EAP partner, CureLink, who's been in place for the last 2 years. We have 1 more year in the rate guarantee period, so at the same cost. They have an increased focus on trauma response and mental health first aid, which has been really one of the initiatives that's been focused on. You can see that in the future wellness coordination considerations. I apologize. In addition to that, your well-being champions have been really hard at work creating programming that's meaningful and engaging within your population, movie nights, challenges that people want to engage in. The district has continued to be nominated and named one of the top 100 healthiest employers and top 100 workplaces in America, which is very indicative of all the investment that you've made into your population, to your employees, and ultimately your kiddos. We're working to continue to expand mental health training opportunities. We will be rolling out a survey that will help employees provide direct feedback on what they want to see in terms of the well-being program, and really looking to kind of continue strategizing and creating that meaningful programming within well-being. So that really takes us to what I just want to spend the rest of my time on primarily, and that is our renewal timeline, particularly for medical. I mentioned that dental and vision are coming. Those are out to bid right now. We're getting responses and we'll be presenting those. Medical doesn't have a cadence specific that we have to go out to bid, but the district and we very much agree that it was important as you haven't gone out to bid for your medical in 5 years, that we needed to revisit that, really to ensure that you have the ability to offer the most competitive benefits to your employees. And so with that, the district made the decision, and we're assisting to take the medical out to bid. So we spent the majority of December collecting a lot of the data that we need to push the medical RFP out. And on Friday, got that out the door and are just now waiting for the many questions that will come in that will help carriers in the community determine if they can bid on the district's health plan coverage. And then we'll be receiving responses back in early February, and we'll be analyzing those and then presenting them to the district admin team in late February. Ultimately then bringing them to the committees that we need to based on your requirements, and then to the board for approval in March. As soon as that approval of whatever carrier and plans moves forward, we will kick off the open enrollment process, and that'll happen in late March. Be developing all the updates to any books, any plan changes that are required, any updates to any carriers, contacts, all of that. And Benefits Direct, who I'll talk about in just a second, will be assisting in that open enrollment process, and that's the portal that you all use, that your employees use to enroll. And ultimately that'll close in June, and the plan year will begin in July. So there's a lot of work going on right now, and you'll be seeing the fruits of that labor in March. When we analyze the RFP and what we bring to the district specifically, obviously you have access to all of the information that's provided, but really there are 5 key areas that we spend time calling out, comparing, and making sure that there's a clear understanding ultimately when a recommendation is being made to the board. The first is pricing. Obviously, how much is the premium? How does it compare to where we were, where we would be if we continue with our current partner? Tier rates, are there any kind of rate guarantees or caps in place that are being offered? We do a network analysis, and this is really 2 and 3 kind of go hand in hand. We're looking at disruption. If we were to implement something different, how much disruption would that cause? And is that a threshold that as a district you're comfortable taking on or not comfortable taking on? So we're really looking at network disruption, both in the providers that are covered, the hospitals that are covered, the drugs that are covered, all across the board. We look at the funding methods. So specific for Raytown Quality Schools, we're looking at fully insured. That's kind of comparable to like car insurance or homeowners insurance. You pay a premium, sometimes you use it, sometimes you don't. You are not under that type of a plan right now, technically. There's minimum premium and then participating contract, and you're in sort of a participating contract, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second. And then we look at the admin capabilities of the company that's offering and asking for your business. Are they going to be a good partner for the district? We want to make sure that anyone who's coming into your fold is going to serve you in a way that the district both deserves and frankly pays for within this contract. So those are the 5 major components, obviously also looking at any outliers that exist. And that just takes me to a brief review of your current arrangement, because it is unique. You are technically fully insured. So when the letter of the law, the type of policy you have is a fully insured policy. However, Blue Cross of Kansas City offers a very unique offering. It's called Cost Plus, and you're under that. And what Cost Plus, when it comes down to it, allows is we set with Blue Cross, they set a rate of premium that they believe that you're going to use as an organization. They believe all your claims, and then obviously their admin costs and all of network costs, those kinds of things that you're likely going to use. If you use that amount within a threshold that is between typically 1% and 5%, if you use all of it up that you put into premium and you go beyond that, Blue Cross takes it. So if you go above whatever threshold you've collected, Blue Cross takes on the additional cost. If you are below the amount that you collect, you keep 100% of that premium, the claims cost that you've reserved. And so that allows you in good years to keep the dollars that have been collected in premium and that you've dedicated through your budget in premium. And in bad years, Blue Cross pays the price. Now, ultimately, the next year after a bad year often results in a rate increase. That's just the reality of it. But hopefully in those good years, when you're holding those dollars back, you have a way to lessen the impact. So that's what's unique about Cost Plus. It's unique about an offering that Blue Cross of Kansas City offers. And so as we go out to market, that's one of the things that we'll obviously be looking at to see what options exist, either within a framework similar to that or a different framework that perhaps has different benefits. I just want to mention Benefits Direct. This is a partnership that you've had since 2017. They are your open enrollment partner. So they host the portal that your employees, whether it's during open enrollment or new hires or have a qualifying life event, it's where people log in, get all of their benefits information, and make decisions on the plans that they elect. There are voluntary benefits that the district offers, a plethora of options to help employees in different situations. You can see the offerings and the enrollment counts listed there. So everything from accident coverage to pet insurance are offerings that the district provides to their employees. And with that, I'm just going to highlight this slide. I'm not going to go to the next ones. There's a list of all of our national resources. CBIZ is a company that we operate across the country, and we have a lot of knowledgeable folks that support us that are all over the country. There's some details around open enrollment. The claims information that we've supplied to the carriers that we're asking to respond, to let them know how your claims have performed so they can make educated recommendations on your premiums. Number 4 is a school district comparison. So these are all CBIZ clients where we've taken a lot of the benefits that are offered, at least the ones that we have visibility to, and done some comparisons so that you can kind of see where you line up in comparison to other districts. And you'll see that Raytown Quality Schools is at the top of the stack almost everywhere. And then just some emerging pharmacy trends and regulations. Pharmacy is a cost driver right now. They are the major cost driver in medical and overall medical spend. So it's just always helpful to have some context to why that is. And so that's been created by our pharmacy practice and included here for your review as well. And with that, I will take any questions you have.
Any questions from board members?
None at this time. That was very thorough. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
So I do want to quickly say again, a big thank you to our CBIZ partners for helping us move forward in this work. Obviously, we're in the business of educating kids. Although some of us have doctorates, not in the medical field. So again, we appreciate your support in guiding us through this work. We did mention Benefits Direct and the portal that we use for online enrollment. Coming from a building, I felt often that there was some maybe work we could do to evaluate the ease with which we're able to move our employees through the portal through Benefits Direct. And so Michelle will be helping us do that before we get to open enrollment again, to make sure that our end users, our employees, have the most streamlined, easiest experience they can moving forward and enrolling in our benefits. We got away from a benefits committee for a while. So once we get our renewal bids back from CBiz. We will be exploring those with not just the superintendent's leadership team, but also Ray Team, which is a good cross section of employees from across our learning community, because we want to get input and make sure that, again, we're bringing forward the best packages possible to our employees. So again, I also want to say that Jackie Vernon does a lot to move us forward in this work as well. And I don't see her face in here, but she's certainly included in this. So again, thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Aaron. And without any more questions, have a good night.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cole.
Mr. Burton,
Yes.
we need to, we have a motion and a second on the career and educational planning guide, but we do not have a vote.
Well,
Would you like me to call the roll?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the 2024-2025 career and educational planning guide. Ms. Salisbury,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Burton,
Yes.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson Berry,
Yes.
Mr. Newton,
Yes.
Dr. Douglas,
Yes.
All right. Now we have the first read of policy GCBDA, professional staff short-term leaves, and GDBDA, support staff leaves. And next is the approval of the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
I move
Mr. President.
that the board approve the January 8th, 2024 consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion made and seconded.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I just had a question from a constituent on the December 19th minutes. And they were asking if the board had defined censure in its meeting. And since I wasn't able to attend that meeting, I didn't know if we defined that differently than the standard definition.
If the board had defined censure, I think we did during the meeting that it's basically basically saying that we didn't approve of the actions that were taken and that it was against protocol. And so for that reason, we were making note of that. Censure is just primarily a public statement saying that board was not in support of those actions.
All right, thank you.
I have a motion and a second. Would you like me to call the roll on the consent agenda?
Is there any donations this?
Yes, there is. I will, let me see if I can take you there. Just one moment. There.
All right, yeah. All right, we have a donation of $770 for student Christmas gifts from Rock Island Church to Northwood School. We have a donation of jeans and t-shirts worth of $100 from Dorothy Campo to Herndon Career Center. We have a donation of $500 towards student lunch debt from Seed of Faith International to Southwood Elementary. We have a donation of coats, outfit, hats, gloves, and socks from Rockhurst OT department to Eastwood Hills Elementary School. We have a donation of 25 winter coats worth $450 from Spire from Eastwood Elementary to Eastwood Elementary School. Pretty sure that's it. We want to thank everyone for the donations and the support of our students in our district, and we greatly appreciate the support. And those look forward to working with you all in the future.
Would you
So,
like me to call the roll on the consent agenda approval?
yes, yes,
Ms. Salisbury,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Burton,
yes,
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson Berry,
Yes.
Mr. Newton,
Yes.
Dr. Douglas.
Yes.
is there a motion to adjourn?
Mr. President, before we get the motion, I just wanted to commend Dr. Griner and actually all of the administration, Dr. Penelope, on the work that they have done and the progress that they have made and the future that they are painting for us and giving us hope for our children, whether minds are in there or not, but I call them all children because we're board members and therefore they partly belong to us too, in a sense. But I just want to commend them for the work, the labor that they have invested in the curriculum and all of the aspects that they are trying to bring to the district to get our kids to move up on another level. So you can't see my hands clapping for you, but pretend like they're clapping and you hear them.
Right, thank
That's
you.
it.
Okay, Mr. President, I call to adjourn the meeting at 8:56 p.m. Everybody be safe and thank you for all that you do.
Right,
Second.
motion made and seconded. Rachel?
Ms. Salisbury,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Burton,
Yes.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson Berry,
Yes.
Mr. Newton,
Yes.
Dr. Douglas.
Yes.
Motion passes. Meeting adjourned.